So today we are going to do the wipeout method, the monochrome wipeout method. And the reason that we would do the monochrome wipeout method is to, first of all, give ourselves another chance to just study value. Because value and the value relationships that we set up really do create the illusion of light and space. They do it very beautifully. So when we add color to a painting, in a way I always think it's like the frosting on the cake. It's really sweet and it's really beautiful, right? And if we do it right, it enhances the unity and the sense of light and space and atmosphere that we've already set up through those value relationships and their edges. Those soft edges, those hard edges, the high contrast edges, the low contrast edges, all of those things come together to create this beautiful sense of light and space, and we need to be masters of that. So doing another painting in monochrome is really a great idea, and it's not just for beginners. I think painters of every level benefit from going back and doing this sort of thing. Now there are painters who are quite accomplished who begin every painting with a monochrome. They might do a wipeout like this one, or they might actually do a more opaque monochrome painting and then paint the color on top of it. The other thing that we benefit from doing the wipeout method rather than just an opaque kind of monochrome painting is that we get to learn what our brushes are capable of doing, because there's no hiding your brush stroke in this very transparent, translucent kind of painting. So we are going to use big brushes and little brushes and maybe our palette knife and rags and Q-tips and all these different things to serve what purpose? To serve the purpose of creating believable textures. If you're an alla prima painter, you really want to practice this wipeout method to do two things. One is to make things look like what they really are, right? We're realist painters after all, right? But we also love paint. So we want to make things look like what they really are, but we also want them to look like paint. I think if you can walk that edge and get both, that's just really fabulous painting. That's what flips my switch, personally. The other thing that is always valuable when we subtract out the distraction of color is that we can pay attention to those value relationships and all those edges a little bit more carefully. And we can do it without worrying about making mud. Right? Because what happens is when we start blending colors, especially we get a warm color next to a cool color, and we start manipulating those edges, it can be really tricky, you know, because you put those two colors together and all of a sudden they're neutralizing and it's mud. But this allows us the freedom of manipulating and playing with those edges without falling into that trap, right? It's really just so much fun for that reason. Okay, and then lastly, for those of you who are going to come back in 2 weeks to do a full-color self-portrait, I chose as the subject for our wipeout painting today the self-portrait. So you get to do this as a kind of rehearsal. First of all, you get to think about how you want to paint yourself. You know, how do you want to appear to your viewer? It makes a big difference, you know, like, which is my best side? You know, or am I looking down at my viewer, or am I looking up at my viewer, or, you know, do I want to look like the serious artist and show my, you know, we've got the palette here, and so you get to think about this and really have fun today playing with the paint.